Thank you so much for joining me for this yoga practice. If you haven't already done so, I invite you to gather yourself in a position that feels comfortable, whether it's lying on the mat in Shavasana with the legs wide and the arms wide and open, allowing the heart to be open. Or maybe it's lying down with one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest. Or maybe even in a seated position, either on the floor or on a comfortable chair. And as we allow ourselves to take this opportunity to settle in, why don't we take one deep sighing breath, breathing in and sighing out, allowing ourselves to be what we need to be in this yoga practice, allowing ourselves to explore our breath, to deepen that breath, and to surrender. And as we start to bring that awareness to our breath, we can allow ourselves to deeply inhale, feeling the belly, ribs, and chest, and exhaling, letting go and releasing. Inhaling again, we feel that expansion filling our whole self. And exhaling, we pour all of ourselves out, letting go. As we deeply inhale and exhale, we can feel ourselves exploring our breath, almost like an ocean wave, and maybe even trying an ujjayi breath where we deeply inhale and allowing a little bit of a sound to escape. Giving ourselves that full sensory awareness of our breath. As we allow ourselves to continue to feel supported by the ground beneath us, allowing ourselves to make adjustments where we need to so we can truly settle in. We can bring our awareness to that deep breath right at our core, and imagining that as we inhale, a flame is ignited. And in this fourth week, as we approach the Advent week of love, we can imagine that that flame is ignited. And as we exhale, instead of extinguishing the flame, in fact, the flame continues to grow and begins to burn brighter. And maybe in this case, this flame of love has a color or multiple colors. And as we breathe into that light, we watch it as it expands throughout our body and all around us. From our core, traveling down our hips and into our thighs, past the knees and into the calves and ankles, through the heels and through the feet and out through the toes. And as we see that burning light flaming, we see it cycle as it passes back up through the body, through our core, and into the ribs, the chest, expanding outward through the shoulders and down our arms, past the elbows, into the wrists, through the hands, and out through the fingertips. And as this light continues to burn, we see it coming back through, passing through our chest and our hearts and into our throat, allowing us to speak love, and into our lips and in our mouth, into our eyes so that we see love, and up through the crown of the head, allowing us to meditate and share love with one another. As we continue to allow our breath to expand this light inward and outward and all around, we can find this opportunity to allow our breath to be a place of calmness, stillness, and peacefulness, allowing our mind to go inward as we continue to inhale and exhale. And as we continue to explore this expansive breath, we can think about our intention for our practice and consider what are the ways we can approach our practice with love. Love of our body, love of ourselves, even love of our movement, love within our inner flame and our collective flame as a community. Maybe how can that love ignite and allow us to expand our imagination, flexibility, and hearts so that we may love more deeply and embrace each other in our whole selves. And how can this light of love be our guide as we journey together through today's practice? Taking a few moments again to deeply inhale and exhale. We'll begin to bring some awareness back to ourselves on the mat. Maybe starting to wiggle the toes and fingers. Maybe taking our head from one side to the other. And again, with our eyes closed, we can reach our arms up overhead, stretching long on the mat, deeply inhaling and exhaling, letting everything drop. We'll try that again. Again, reaching up through the fingertips, down through the toes, stretching long on the mat, inhaling and exhaling, letting it all go. Let's try that one final time again. This time our deepest inhale, reaching all the way across and exhaling, letting it all go. And at this point, I invite you to keep your eyes closed. Otherwise, I will be starting the video. And again, keeping ourselves still, lying down on the mat will gently bring a little bit more movement into our body. So if we're not already in the lying down position, we can go there now. And taking a deep inhale On our next exhale, we'll gently bring one leg into our chest and squeeze it in, giving ourselves a hug. And again, on our next exhale, we'll switch our legs, bringing the other knee into the chest and squeezing deeply. Again, not overthinking the movement, just taking one leg in, drawing it towards the chest. And again, on our exhale, switching, bringing the other leg in. Allowing ourselves to notice if our mind is starting to wander or starting to think about other things we have to do today. Just let it go and be in the present moment in this simple movement, alternating one leg and then the other. We'll switch one last time, and then on our deep inhale, on our next exhale, let's bring both knees into the chest. And slowly, if we want to, we can rock from side to side, gently massaging our lower back. And when we're ready, once again, we'll bring our feet to the mat with our legs still bent. We're going to prepare for bridge, and we're going to try something a little different. So placing our hands just beside our hips and keeping our heels so that they're close to our bottom. We'll do one normal bridge by gently inhaling, reaching the hips up to the sky, and exhaling, rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Let's try that again. Inhaling deeply, reaching with the hips, and exhaling, releasing to the floor. This time, let's try taking ourselves so that we do flowing bridge, reaching the arms up overhead as we gently bring the hips to the sky. And in our exhale, releasing both the arms and our lower spine to the floor. We'll try this again and maybe even explore the idea of either doing a counting breath, or if numbers aren't your thing, maybe spelling a word. So I'm going to try L, O, V, E, L, O, V, E. Allowing ourselves again to find that breath with the movement and releasing down. Finding this balance between using our body and moving while maintaining a calm and collected breath. Let's try this one last time, and if it's in our practice today, we can reach up a little bit higher, bringing the arms together, maybe even forming a fist underneath us. And when we're ready, let's let everything drop down to the mat. And again, let's find that beautiful counter stretch, bringing the knees into the chest. And again, taking this opportunity to rock from side to side. Placing our feet back onto the floor, we're going to fire up our core a little bit so we can take this opportunity to explore this movement in many different ways. One we can try is gently looking up over our knees and coming back down as if you're maybe looking at the ocean and coming back down. Or we can even continue by bringing our hands behind our head, coming up into a little bit of a crunch. Again, with a focus more on the control of the movement, creating that dynamic tension. And if it's available, we can even explore the idea of bringing one elbow to the opposite knee and extending the legs out. And again, with a focus on seeing if we can match our breath to the movement. So on our exhale, reaching to the knee, inhaling as we cycle in between. Let's try a few more of these, again, energizing and firing up our tapas, as we say in yoga. And when we're ready, let's surrender all the way back down to the mat. And we can take this moment to take our knees from side to side, almost like windshield wiping the mat with our knees. And let's take even one more time. We'll bring our knees into our chest. And again, release the feet all the way to the floor. This time, let's take both knees to one side and bring one arm up over the head. And when we're ready, we'll place some weight into our hands and bring ourselves up onto all fours or onto our knees. And we'll just take a moment to roll out our wrists a little bit as we prepare for cat and cow. And when we're ready, we'll place both hands on the mat, keeping the fingertips wide, almost like starfish, and making sure that we're stacking our joints so that our hips are right over our knees and our shoulders are right over our wrists. And just taking a moment, we're going to gently rock back and forth, taking our fingertips in opposite directions so that they start to turn to the long edge of the mat. And of course, we want to always go only where there's a whisper and not a scream. And we'll stop at that point. And then we'll go back the same way we came, again, gently rocking from side to side, bringing the hands so the fingertips come back to the front of the mat. All right. From here, we'll take a deep inhale, reaching the crown of the head and the tailbone. And then on our exhale, draw our belly button through cat. Inhaling deeply, reaching up along the belly to come to the floor, and exhaling, drawing everything through, curling the spine. Again, really finding that breath with the movement. Feeling almost the expansion that one movement starts and is a continuous motion, that there's no beginning or end. Allowing ourselves to feel supple, allowing ourselves also to check in with other parts of the body. Is there any tension in our jaw or in our face? What is there that we can let go of a little bit more for a bit more freedom in our movement? Let's try that one more time, taking a neutral tabletop position. And we're going to try a pose that we haven't done in this yoga series yet. It's called Sunbird. So we're going to gently make sure that we're feeling really stable in our hands. We can also do this on our fists if that's more comfortable. And we're going to gently take one leg up and we're going to shoot it to the sky, kicking our heel and replacing that knee back to the mat. Again, switching our legs, extending up, kicking the heel, and coming back down. This is kind of like our opposite arm, opposite leg balance pose. And we can actually do that with this as well, kicking our leg up. And if we're doing this, we probably will feel it very much in our glutes if we do it enough times. So let's try it a few more times again. Inhaling when we return to the floor and exhaling, reaching up and coming back down. Let's try two more. And one last one here. And again, maybe reaching the hands a little bit higher on the mat. And we can come back down into child's pose or a constructive rest posture. Maybe that's with a block under our head or stacking our fists, coming up into a little bit higher position, or sinking all the way back down into child's pose. Again, allowing ourselves to take this moment, maybe nodding the head back and forth, allowing our hips to truly sink down, letting go of any tension in the jaw or in the face. And when we're ready, we'll gently come up onto the knees into that tabletop position and extend all the way down so that we come into a little bit of a push-up. And then pushing back up through the hands, we'll reach back into child's pose. Again, on our next inhale, coming forward, exhaling, coming towards the mat, and coming back into child's pose. Let's try this a few more times again. Inhaling here, exhaling forward, inhaling, coming back up, and exhaling into child's pose. Again, almost feeling like this is a wave of constant movement, no beginning or end. Let's try this one last time. Again, inhaling, coming through, exhaling, coming to the floor, inhaling back up, and exhaling back into child's pose. Again, let's take a moment here, letting go of any judgment or expectation. Again, finding that deep breath and connectedness. And when we're ready, we can begin to prepare ourselves for our first downward dog, or we can do leaf pose or chair pose, as we've talked about in some of our other classes. And so when we're ready, we're going to gently place our hands in front of us in that tabletop position, keeping the fingertips wide. We'll tuck the toes underneath. And when we're ready, taking some tension in our thighs, we'll push back into our heels and come into our first downward facing dog. Taking a few moments to settle into this posture. We can pedal the heels a little bit, one at a time, bringing one up and then returning it to the floor. And then again, allowing ourselves to release our neck, allowing this to be a dynamic posture where we can continue to breathe, but also allow it to create heat in our body. And taking one last deep inhale and exhale, let's gently bring our toes to our fingertips. And again, if it's in our practice today, we can enjoy a forward fold or maybe come into this leaf position. If we're in our forward fold, we can experiment with bending and straightening our knees and maybe even taking our elbows and releasing the back of the neck just to allow ourselves to surrender a little bit more into that forward fold. We can even explore a posture called gorilla, where we take our hands underneath our feet, and it opens up a little bit more of a stretch here. Again, making little adjustments as we go. And when we're ready, let's inhale, bending the knees, bringing the arms up overhead, and exhaling, bringing the hands to heart center. Beautiful. All right, let's take a little bit more action movement. Again, so we're going to take our toes to the corners of our mat, keeping the heels so that they're in a V. And when we're ready, we'll explore moonflowers and sunflowers. Excuse me. So let's bring our hands up overhead and inhaling up through the top, we'll exhale, bend the knees, bend the elbows, and reach through. Let's keep doing this again, matching our breath with our movement. Inhaling through the top and exhaling, coming back down. Again, maybe allowing ourselves to explore a more vocal breath. Almost as if we're pumping the air through our body like it's one giant system. Let's do a couple more of these. And when we're ready, let's move into sunflowers. Very similar, inhaling through the top, exhaling, sweeping the arms back and down. Again, as if you're drawing a giant circle or the sun in front of you. And allowing the movement to be very expansive. So not just flinging the arms up and down, but really reaching all the way through, using your imagination. Let's try this one more time and then let's switch in between. So from moonflowers to sunflowers. Let's try this a few more times. And when we're ready, we'll come all the way up to the top, and let's bring the hands to heart center. Let's take a moment here just to ground ourselves, feeling the heat in our body and maybe a little bit more of an excitement in our heart. And we'll take this moment, we're going to find our chair position. So reaching in front of us, we'll gently sit back, allowing ourselves to put the weight in the heels and the sides of our feet. And if it's in our practice, we can bring our hands to heart center as we sit in this chair, or we can reach the arms up overhead. Again, finding that strength in our core, in our glutes, our thighs, rooting all the way through the floor. And let's come out of this chair, gently reaching down, swooping the arms up, and bringing the hands to heart center. We'll try what's called flowing chair. So again, bending and reaching, and inhaling, bringing the hands up and back through heart center. Again, inhaling, reaching forward, and exhaling, coming back up and bringing the hands to heart center. Let's try that one more time. Again, reaching through and coming back up. Let's take one more moment of pause. We're going to try one more thing with our chair. We're going to feel so grounded. We're going to gently come back down. And if it's available for us today, we can find a twisting chair. So maybe bringing the feet a bit closer together. We can do this a couple of different ways. Maybe it's just glancing over our shoulder or taking one hand to our lower back. Or if we're deep enough, we can even catch our elbow to that knee and rotate. Let's take a moment, bringing the fingertips to the floor. We'll inhale, reach up again. And let's try that on the other side. I'm going to come this way so you can see a little bit more. Again, finding our chair position. And again, just gently the idea of looking over that shoulder, whether we're bringing that hand to our back knee or maybe placing the other hand on the knee, gazing over that shoulder. Taking one more moment here. Again, let's deeply inhale, reaching up, and exhaling, bringing the hands to heart center. You're doing great. Okay, let's go to the top of our mat. I'm going to demonstrate some sun salutations with blocks today. We always just want to make sure that when we're using the blocks, we really put a lot of pressure directly into the center of the block. You can also lay them flat, but I'm just going to show this as an option if you want to try at home another time. Okay, when we're ready, inhaling deeply, reaching the arms up, we exhale, fold forward. Inhaling, reaching up halfway. We exhale, bringing our hands to the floor or to our blocks, bringing one knee to the floor and bringing the other knee back and coming into child's pose. On our next inhale, we'll come forward, either coming all the way to the floor or just using the blocks. And exhale, come back down into child's pose. On our next inhale, we'll bring the right foot forward and we'll bring our left foot forward to meet it. Inhaling, we'll look up halfway and exhale, return back to the mat or to the blocks. On our next inhale, bending the knees deeply, reaching up all the way to the top. We'll exhale, bring the hands to heart center. Let's try that again on the other side. Again, inhaling deeply and flowing all the way down to the floor or to the blocks. Inhaling, looking up halfway. We'll exhale, this time bringing the other knee to the floor and bringing the other knee to meet it and coming down into child's pose. On our next inhale, coming into that push-up position, we'll come here, maybe doing a baby cobra, and exhaling, coming all the way back into child's pose. On our next inhale, let's bring our foot in between the hands and bring the other foot to meet it. And inhaling, we'll look up halfway And exhale, returning back to the mat. On our next inhale, we'll reach the arms up. And exhale, bring the hands to heart center. Let's do that one more time. We can keep that variation or try this one. Inhaling, reaching up through to the sky. Exhaling, folding forward. Inhaling, looking up halfway with a flat back. We inhale, bring the right foot back and bring the left foot to meet it in plank position. Inhaling through plank, we exhale all the way to the mat or slightly off the mat. Inhaling through upward facing dog and exhaling, tucking the toes back into downward facing dog. Taking a moment here, bending the knees, reaching up on the toes. We'll inhale, bring the right foot in between the hands and bring the left foot to meet it. Inhaling up halfway. We exhale, return to the mat. Inhaling one more time, coming all the way up with bent knees or straight and bringing the hands back to heart center. Let's try that one more time on the other side. Inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, folding forward. Inhaling, coming up halfway. We exhale again, planting the hands, bringing our left foot back and bringing our right foot back into plank. And now we lower down halfway or to the floor. Inhaling through upward facing dog and exhale through downward facing dog. Taking a moment here to ground ourselves, looking in between the hands, coming up on the toes, bending the knees. We'll bring our left foot in between the hands and bring the right foot to meet it. Again, inhaling, looking up halfway, exhaling, returning to the floor. Inhaling, reaching all the way up. We exhale, bringing the hands to heart center. We did it. Let's again find that deep, calming breath, or maybe Shavasana, or sitting in a chair, whatever we need in this moment. Maybe closing the eyes. Again, finding that core center, focusing on love, letting go of any criticism or unhelpful thoughts, and stay in the present moment. Taking this moment, let's inhale, bringing the arms to the side, opening up the chest and the hands. We'll come into that mountain pose. And again, taking a moment if we like to close the eyes, allowing the chest to be open, standing tall, rooting through the feet, feeling the strength in our legs. And when we're ready, let's open the chest. Actually, let's start by rolling the shoulders all the way back and down. And again, finding that really open and expansive position of mountain pose. Let's do that one more time again, really reaching the shoulders up, back, and down. And this time, bringing our hands behind ourselves. We can either take our shirt, or if it's available to us, our hands in a fist, bringing them behind us to open up our chest. Again, we can also do this in our chair if we want to take the back of the chair and open up through our chest. Let's take a moment to take an opposite action, reaching both arms long and giving ourselves a deep hug, reaching forward, maybe taking both shoulders with our hands and tucking our chin into our chest. Again, allowing ourselves to center and calm our breath. And when we're ready again, let's open up the chest wide. And if we are able to take our hands behind ourselves, we can switch the thumb on top. It's harder to do than we think when we have to really try to do it. Again, allowing ourselves to shine our heart open, either keeping the eyes closed or gently looking off. And again, let's expand open, bringing the arms wide. And let's bring the other arm on top this time. Again, gently giving ourselves a hug, a loving embrace, and tucking that chin into the chest. Beautiful. Once again, we'll take ourselves into that open position of mountain pose. Again, finding that center. And when we're ready, let's bring both hands to heart center. And in this case, we're going to take one foot behind us into our first warrior one position. So almost on a 35-degree angle, we'll take our front foot so that we're putting a lot of weight into that front thigh, trying to keep our knee in line with our heel. And we can keep our hands in any position that feels right today. Maybe we need a focus on love, bringing our hands to the heart center. We can also do cactus arms, which is a great heart opener, or we can come all the way up with the hands reaching up through the fingertips. Or maybe we find different arm positions as we go, cycling in between. Continue to feel that grounding through our legs. We'll prepare ourselves to pivot that back heel, opening up into warrior two. Again, allowing ourselves to feel that strength in our whole body, reaching all the way through the fingertips. And again, let's take this opportunity to roll the shoulders up, back, and down, and see how that changes the feeling of the posture. And again, always the option to come back into heart center. Let's take a few more breaths here. And when we're ready, let's flip that front palm and come a little bit forward. And on our exhale, let's reach back into reverse warrior. Allowing ourselves to feel that openness in our side body, expanding through. And when we're ready, let's gently come back into that warrior two position and continue that flow so that we come into that side angle pose, reaching over, allowing the elbow to come to the knee. And if we're looking to energize a little bit more, we can even expand open, using our core strength to open up a little bit more. Again, allowing ourselves to be very intentional with our breath as we do this. On our next inhale, again, let's come into that warrior two position. And if it's available, allowing ourselves to straighten that front foot a little bit more. And we're going to come into triangle pose. So coming forward, keeping that knee a little bit more straight, we'll bring our arm up. And we can even have a block here to open ourselves a little bit more, give ourselves a little bit more balance. And reaching like one long straight line in our arms, we can gaze up at those fingertips up at the sky. Let's take a few more breaths here. And on our next inhale, allowing ourselves to pull through our core, coming back into that warrior two position. And looking up towards our front fingertips, we'll bring some weight into our legs, putting our hands to heart center, and we'll step back into mountain pose. Beautiful. Let's try that again on the other side. I'm going to turn around so you can see me a little bit better. Again, this time bringing the other leg back, coming into that warrior one position, and maybe even exploring how close our feet are together. Maybe our warrior one is out here, and this is absolutely beautiful because we can feel that real expansion through the chest and feeling of connectedness and grounding. And again, exploring the arms, but most importantly, opening up the chest, letting go. We can even have our arms to the side. Again, playing with this idea of maybe bending our front leg a little bit more, deepening our connection. And when we're ready on our next inhale, let's open ourselves up so that we come into that warrior two. And again, making sure that our toes are facing the long end of the mat. Again, let's try this again. Inhaling, bringing the shoulders up, back, and down, and feeling how that changes the posture. Maybe even taking this moment as we gaze over our fingertips. We can turn our head and let go of the past, looking at our back fingertips, and come back to the center and look over our front fingertips, looking to the future. On our next inhale, let's pivot so that we bring that front palm up and over into reverse warrior. Again, deeply inhaling and exhaling, allowing the breath to expand and shift the movement. Again, maybe we need to flow in between a few postures to settle in. There's no final destination of getting into a posture and staying there. It continues to evolve. Again, on our next inhale, let's bring ourselves back into the warrior two position and flow all the way into side angle pose. Again, maybe catching that left elbow onto that left knee and reaching through the fingertips up and over. And again, we can look almost as if we're gazing up at the sky under our upper arm. And again, if it's in our practice today, we can open up a little bit more. Again, inhaling deeply, connecting with our breath, allowing ourselves to feel that dynamic tension. And once again, engaging our core, inhaling, reaching up through warrior two. Let's see if we can gently straighten that front leg a little bit and come into our triangle pose. Reaching up through the fingertips, looking up to the sky, seeing if we can create one long line with our hands and our arms, and continuing to see if we can expand our chest up and open. Taking a few more grounding breaths here. Let's inhale, reaching up through the core and bringing our hands to heart center. This time we'll point the toes to the corners of the mat. And again, if it's available to us, we can come into a wide leaf pose, or we can come into a forward fold. We can even have a block available to give us a little bit more grounding and balance. Or if it's available, we can come all the way to the floor, reaching forward in that wide stance. Again, letting go of any tension in the neck, maybe gently rocking the head from side to side. And when we're ready, let's gently go over to one side, allowing ourselves to deepen that stretch a little bit more into our one leg. And then coming back through center, we'll go over to the other side, finding our other ankle or foot, and allowing ourselves to feel that stretch in the back of our legs. One more time, we'll come back through center, gently allowing ourselves again to surrender to the floor. Again, nodding the head back and forth, feeling that deep stretch in the back of the legs. And once again, let's bend the legs, inhaling, reaching all the way up, and bringing our hands to heart center. We're going to try one more tree pose. And again, many different ways to do this. I'm going to have a block close by to demonstrate as well. So taking this opportunity, again, focusing on posture and engaging our core, rooting through one leg and gently starting to peel one foot off the floor. We're going to gently take ourselves with arms at our side or at heart center and bring our foot to maybe our calf or maybe even just our heel off the floor. Or if we want to try expanding and opening up our hips a little bit more, we can use the block, allowing ourselves to find our tree. We can come to the calf, or if it is in our practice, we can bring our foot up a little bit higher and pressing the heel into the thigh. Woo! Finding ourselves in that grounding balance. We can find our tree, allowing it to evolve and move and sway in the wind, maybe coming in and out of it a few times. And if we like, we can try to expand our branches and open up. Taking one last deep breath through the top, let's gently bring ourselves back to the floor and try the other side. Again, letting ourselves be where we are today, wherever that is. Again, finding that rooting through the floor, allowing ourselves to engage our core. And when we're ready, gently playing with our balance, peeling one foot off the floor, rooting and extending. Again, opening up the hips, opening up the chest, allowing ourselves to find that center, continuing to breathe, opening up. And if we're ready, expanding outwards. And if we're feeling really daring, maybe closing our eyes. Maybe not today. All right, let's get ourselves so that we're preparing to come back to the mat. Let's come forward to the top of our mat. And when we're ready, let's inhale deeply, bringing the arms up. And when we're ready, coming down into a forward fold. We're finding ourselves to the floor, maybe even using a chair, coming up halfway. And again, bringing our hands to the mat, bringing one knee back and bringing the other and coming into child's pose or any constructive rest posture. Maybe it's flipping onto your back, coming into knees to chest. And when we're ready, after taking a few more breaths, let's come up onto our knees. And we're going to take our feet so that we bring ourselves into a seated position, and we're going to go straight to staff pose. So taking our feet in front of us, we're going to, again, find that expansion through the chest, finding a very tall, noble posture. And again, starting to explore closing our eyes a little bit more and allowing me to guide our movement with my voice. In this seated position with our feet in front of us, we'll gently inhale, reach the arms up over top. And if it's in our practice, folding forward, maybe grabbing our feet or coming up to the thighs, the knees, the calves, or the ankles, whatever feels right in this moment. Deeply inhaling and exhaling, allowing the breath to surrender a little bit more, become more supple. And on our next inhale, coming back up, we're going to take our legs wide. And this time, so in a deep V, again, inhaling, reaching up, and exhaling, folding forward to wherever makes sense today. Again, we can even have a block here for a little bit more stability, maybe to rest our elbows on, or coming all the way to the floor. And just as we did in our forward fold, our wide forward fold, We'll come over to one side, gently taking one leg, reaching through. And if it's available and we're looking for something a bit deeper, we can even try reaching the arm overhead and taking our toes with our fingers and looking up under our armpit. Feeling that expansion. Let's return back to the floor or wherever we are today and go over to the other side. Again, finding where we are in this stretch, not where we were yesterday or tomorrow, where we are today. And again, inhaling and releasing as we go. And once again, let's come back through the center. And when we're ready, let's bring the soles of the feet together, coming into cobbler's pose or butterfly pose. And bringing the feet together, we can allow ourselves to take our feet and maybe even use our elbows to expand the knees a little bit closer to the floor. If we have blocks, we can also use them as a support under our knees. And with or without the block, again, imagining as if we're taking our buttocks and rounding it and closing it up and under so that we can allow ourselves to open up the stretch a little bit more. Sitting up very tall and continuing to breathe. Let's take one last moment here. And when we're ready, let's bring the knees together and give ourselves a little hug. Again, maybe curling in, coming into that position of comfort, giving an embrace of love. And when we're ready, let's bring ourselves back to the mat. Coming into a position with our knees bent. We're going to come back to a flowing bridge, but in a different way. And we can close our eyes at this point if we want to explore what's called a box breath. And a box breath starts with inhaling for 4 counts, expanding on a held inhalation for 4 counts, exhaling for 4 counts, and then resting in that inhale for 4 counts. And we can match this movement with our flowing bridge, which we did at the beginning. But if you're like me and you don't like numbers, let's try something else. So we're going to try inhaling hope, peace, joy, love, holding hope, peace, joy, love, and exhaling hope, peace, joy, love, and holding hope, peace, joy, love. Inhaling hope, peace, joy, love, expanding through hope, peace, joy, and love, and exhaling hope, peace, joy, love, and resting hope, peace, joy, love. Let's try that with our own internal. And when we're ready, let's again bring those knees into the chest, giving ourselves a hug, feeling that hope, peace, joy, and love. And returning our feet to the mat, we'll find that figure 4 position, bringing our left ankle over our right knee and gently pressing the knee away or threading the hands in between the thighs and catching the back of the knee and allowing ourselves to feel that stretch in our glute. Allowing ourselves maybe to close the eyes. Allow the face to be soft. And when we're ready, let's gently take that foot to the floor and keeping our legs crossed, we'll gently take our hips over to the other side of the mat and opening up the body, allow gravity to take those knees to the side, or we can even have a supportive block underneath that knee, allowing ourselves to feel that deep twist. Allowing our deep breath, our inhalation and exhalation to unwind. And once again, when we're ready on that next inhale, let's come back through center and bring both feet to the mat. Opportunity to take another squeeze of both knees into the chest. And let's return those feet back to the floor. This time again, taking our right ankle over our left knee. And again, pressing the knee away or threading the hands in between the thighs. And bringing ourselves into that figure four position on the other side. Again, allowing ourselves to fully be in our bodies, embracing the opportunity to truly be in the present moment. And once again, let's bring that foot to the mat, crossing the legs a little bit more deeply and taking our hips over to one side. We'll open up the body and allow ourselves to fall to the other side. Allowing ourselves to feel that deep twist. And finding that deep and calming breath. And in our own time, when we're ready, again, inhaling, coming back through center, bringing both feet to the mat, either bringing the knees into the chest one last time or going straight into our final rest posture. Maybe that's Shavasana with the legs wide and the arms open, allowing ourselves to feel our chest, or maybe bringing one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. And at this point, again, I invite us all to keep our eyes closed. And once again, finding that deep inhalation and exhalation that we found at the beginning of our practice. And again, focusing on that inner light of love. Allowing our breath to keep that flame cycling all throughout our body, both relaxing and energizing as we take this final moment to press the pause button. Allowing the core of ourselves to just take this opportunity to breathe. And in these final moments, I'd like to share something inspired by Heather Ryan Starr called I Am Not Alone. There is a love holding me. May we move gently through this cloudy, murky, gray day. May we remember that this is just one day, and that showing up is at least half of what is asked of us. May we set aside our underlying anxiety that we will not get to everything before Christmas or live up to our own personal expectations, and put our trust and faith onto the riverbank of human community. We are working together. We are not alone. There is a love holding us that is unconcerned with our holiday to-do list and more concerned with our spirit survival, even its thriving in this beautiful, challenging world. May we all remember that the first Christmas was simple, and it's okay if ours is too. Ever reminding ourselves our efforts are part of an ongoing stream of efforts, of lives being lived beside one another, shoring up this world. May what little we do today be for the greater good. And may we be gentle with others today as we long for others to be gentle with us. And may it be so. And once again, let's take these moments as we continue to have that grounding breath. We can bring some awareness back into the body, wiggling fingers and toes. And again, finding that stretch as we gently take our arms up overhead, reaching through the fingertips and toes, and exhaling, releasing to the floor. Again, taking that expansive breath, inhaling deeply, and exhaling, letting it all go. And let's do this together one final time, even dramatically, inhaling our deepest breath and our deepest stretch, and exhaling, just letting it all go. And when we're ready, we can gently roll over to one side, bringing one arm up overhead and gently taking ourselves into a fetal position. And then when we're ready, placing some weight into our hands and bringing ourselves up into a seated position with our hands to heart center. And again, allowing ourselves to keep our eyes open or closed. And as we keep the flame of love lit, let its light be a reminder that there is no greater power in the world than love. And through this community and yoga practice, we can become a blessing to one another. May we risk enough to become vulnerable and welcome tenderness in our body, mind, and spirit this Christmas. Namaste.